guys, and welcome to the Heritage Agendas Football Podcast. This is episode number 9, and we are finally back as a team. Last week it was just me, but it's good to be back. How are we doing?
I'm doing well, bro. Sorry you had to be alone last week, but
No,
we're
good.
back,
Yeah, we're
inshallah.
back. Inshallah, I'm here to stay, and it's going to be a good season. It was a long summer, had a nice little hiatus.
Was it a long summer or in general, or was it a long summer for you?
I think both, bro. There's a
Mm.
certain guy that we're gonna talk about today that is the reason it was a long
Oh.
summer. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I cannot stand that guy. But without further ado, let's get right into it. The big news from when we last recorded. So I started the recording, I think 40 minutes after Fabrizio said Caicedo was going to Liverpool. So I had Liverpool third,
Yeah.
and I had Chelsea fourth, and then
hmm
obviously since then, Caicedo went to Chelsea, and Liverpool's backup, which I think a lot of people thought that if they didn't get Caicedo, they'd get Lavia, also went to
Yeah.
Chelsea. So they
Yeah.
got both of them. So and then they got
Yeah.
Elise today. I think is 100%. He's almost done. If he's not 100%, I'm not 100% sure, but it's probably gonna happen. Let's say let's
Yeah.
99% chance it's gonna happen. So what do you think about that whole situation? Let's just start there, because
It so obviously, like, Liverpool have done what I think has been good business, at least this summer, right? They've
Liverpool have.
Liverpool. They've
Okay,
brought
okay.
in two solid midfielders and then got rid of old people pretty much.
Yeah.
And then once, because it came out of nowhere, the 100 million, was it euros?
Yeah.
100
110
million
million pounds.
pound
Crazy,
bid
crazy
for
purchase.
Caicedo came absolutely out of nowhere. I was shocked because everyone knows Liverpool has no money. Um, at least we thought. Klopp, all he does is just complain about other people buying stuff. So I thought it was just a done deal. But what I didn't anticipate was not. I knew for a fact Chelsea would come back, but Caicedo flat out saying no, I don't want to go there was completely shocking to me because I like Chelsea is an exciting project for young people, but Liverpool's well established, and they have, they don't have Champions League, but they're in Europa. Mohamed Salah, Allison, they have excellent world class players. So I thought that was a done deal, but he flat out said no, and he would
Hmm.
just wait for Chelsea to make their move, which they eventually did within 48 hours, and then 24 hours later he was announced. At which Chelsea just I don't know, just bullying.
115
Yeah,
million pounds for a midfielder is
anybody and everybody
insane.
is getting that work from Chelsea in this window and the January transfer window.
Yeah, the that amount of money for a midfielder. So now they're two-man midfield. Well, if we count Lavia, Caicedo, Fernandez is a 300 million euro midfield or more. I think it's a little
Or
more.
more. Yeah,
That is insane.
it's absolutely insane. You've never seen anything like it. And then
Like
it doesn't stop there. There's Mudryk, there's Nkunku, there's
Nkunku,
so much
Nicholas
more.
Jackson,
Yep.
Olise, they have a chance to field a team where maybe 9 or 10 of the starters, probably week in week out, are going to be bought in the last 2 years. That's career mode, like FIFA stuff. Like, we don't see that in the real world like that. That the whole team changed like overnight. It's crazy. But I
And
mean, I will say I've always said that even before the Caicedo deal. Obviously, this takes them to the next level as a team. I think now that midfield is really like it's. I mean, the difference between Gallagher and Enzo versus Caicedo and Enzo or Lavia, and you have more backups, and you have
it's night and day. Yeah.
Chukwuemeka, or what his name. He's very very good too. It's night and day. It's like you said. So I think a lot of people are sleeping on them. I actually really like their recruitment, and I like their team. They probably have maybe for sure outside of City and Arsenal, for me, the deepest team now.
Yeah.
The question is just again the goals. Where does it come? I like Mauricio Pochettino. I think they're gonna be in the mix, but I still think they're a year away from the league. I think there's still room to grow. You know.
What was that? Remember when the Raptors drafted some guy from your I don't know some it's from like some league, and they were like he's 2 years away from being 2 years away. Um,
Yeah, I think I know. Yeah,
that's what I think Liverpool. I think in terms of depth, in terms of youngsters, I think they have everything they need for the next 10 years
for
already on the
Chelsea.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah, for Chelsea, sorry. But it's just when it clicks, when these guys actually start performing. Obviously, Enzo's a really good player, as is right now. Caicedo is a like an absolute tank of a midfielder and a floor raiser, and he makes Enzo look better. Lavia is going to come in and just walk into the team. Like everybody they've bought,
yeah.
I think you make fun of them for all these purchases and all that stuff, but if you look at it, they're building a really good roster of young players
They are.
that they want to grow with each other, and they're all tied down for 8 9 years.
8 9 year contracts.
Yeah, which
And
is
I
insane.
mean, the thing is, people complain about like the financial fair play and the loopholes, where basically like they give these huge baseball like contracts so they can really spread out the transfer. But bro,
Mhm.
it's a rule. If you can bend the rules, bend the rules. I will never be upset at them bending the rules. Like that's within their rights. And if you have smart people who want to bend the rules, by all means, do it.
Absolutely. And Bowley has come out and show I don't really think this loophole, I don't think it exists. I just think they've been um at least that's what I think, but I don't know what he's done
I've never seen
to
an 8 year contract extension in football before Bowley.
exactly.
I will say so.
So
I do think it exists, but they're really pushing it. I've never seen. I actually don't think I've ever seen since like I've been watching and following a team that moves faster in the transfer window. Sometimes I think like it literally in the morning they'll be like Chelsea's interested in this player, and in the afternoon he's signed. Like they
yeah.
just got this Brazilian kid. I think David Washington is his name,
Hmm.
18-year-old Brazil striker. They were like Fabrizio said like 2 days ago. He was like Chelsea's interested in this player. They have like scouts watching him, and the next day he was signed to an 8 year deal. I was like, what is this? Like I've never seen anything like that before, bro.
No, it's crazy, man. I like and some of the stuff they've been like who knew Olise had a what's it
35
called?
release
A
clause. Yeah,
million a release clause. Like some of this, they do their homework and they
yeah,
move pretty
they do.
quickly. It's just at the expense of other clubs. Liverpool just looks awful.
And the
And
fire sale they had at the beginning of the window. Some of the amounts they got for those players. Like I never thought that they were gonna cut a profit on Havertz, or I think break even, which is what they did. I never thought that was gonna happen. They got 65 million for Mount, which is
yeah,
crazy. They got transfer fees for Koulibaly and Edouard Mendy, who barely played. Like they were barely playing the year and for Mendy the 2 years he was at Chelsea, they were barely playing. So I was like, and they're on high wages, which then
exactly.
they got rid of like 8 9 players too. They got N'Golo Kante off the wages. They got Kovacic. So they got a lot of money off the books. I think it was like 300 million in sales or something crazy. So that helped them to spend the amount they spent this summer. And where do you think they're gonna finish? Because obviously we didn't get you like step by step in the table. But where do they finish?
I think as constructed as is, there's still like what 15 days left of the window, so you never know with this
That's
team.
true. That's true.
Um, but as is, I think they're easily a top four team.
Okay,
I think either number four or number three. I don't think they're as good as Arsenal or City,
I
but
agree.
I think three, four, five, six are like all interchangeable to me. So I think they would fit right in there with Newcastle, with Man United, with Liverpool there too.
Okay, yeah. So in and around the same spots, but
Yeah.
in terms
No,
of
I really, especially with Olise coming in, he's I think he had 11 assists last season. That's
mhm.
going to help with their struggles, which
And
is
they have
scoring.
Sterling too, so they have depth
And
on the wing
Sterling,
too.
they
Yep.
have depth. I think Sterling probably is not a, I don't think he starts 30 games a year anymore. But someone like Elise having a backup or ahead of him is perfect. And
Yeah, no, I agree. And so on the topic of transfers, then
yeah,
is Chelsea for you the winners of the whole window? Like, did you think they won the window, or is there a different team that you think had a better window?
uh, I think with Caicedo, obviously he was a big fish.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And that's the position of need. I think Enzo Fernandez needed a partner in the midfield.
mm-hmm.
I don't think Gallagher cuts it. I don't think
No, I agree.
I think they should just go ahead and move him with Lavia coming in. Um, that's another like 40, 50 million of euros coming in, which
Yeah.
is they're such a really good like selling club,
They're the
which all the
best
big
selling club in the world.
club,
I've
yeah.
never seen anything like it. Like that's the one thing they sell like crazy. I have no idea
And
how they do it.
all the big clubs struggle with it. So I think with Caicedo, I think they're the winners to me, because I think it accelerates everything. They're maybe fighting for top six to like now being a top four contender. But and then it solidifies like buying Enzo Fernandez because now you have two elite midfielders. And then with I hope Nkunku comes back on time. I think he's out for 3-4 months.
Yep.
And
Which is a
he's
big
a
blow,
naturally
yeah.
gifted, yeah, scorer, creative person to have in front of those two. But I think they're the winners. Obviously, I think Arsenal also had a really good window. Man
They did,
City,
yeah.
um,
I didn't like City's window
Man
that
United,
much.
I don't think so. Man United, I don't think
I
had a
didn't
great
like their
window,
window,
but
no.
Newcastle, I think, had a good window. So I think Chelsea is probably number one, which
Yeah, I
is
agree.
just crazy to me. It's
I think
I
before this weekend you could say it was like up for debate. I think it was like between them and
yeah,
Arsenal in terms of like which
yeah,
teams when you really look from the previous year got like that biggest amount of
better.
improvement. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, for me Chelsea take it, and I was really scared last season when they announced Nkunku that it was going to be like Nkunku just sitting on an island at number 9, which is kind of what they did with
Yeah.
Havertz. And I think bringing in Nicholas Jackson, and when Nkunku comes back into the side, it's a shame we don't really get to see him now, and he's really sitting in that 10 spot, kind of operating in spaces. And then you can really
Yep.
get your wingers who now have so much freedom, and you Mikhailo Mudryk, Raheem Sterling, and Michael Olise, like those names. I think they're gonna definitely give teams trouble. And
Yep.
I think
And then
not having Europe helps them a lot
absolutely.
to grow as a team, and really it helps Mauricio Pochettino to really install his system. I think once one season without Europe will go a ways, especially for a young team.
A young team that's just been thrown together, so there's no camaraderie, nothing like that.
100%.
And then I think Pochettino is also a great ad. He's proven obviously PSG didn't work out for him. But at Tottenham, he's clearly like all those players owe everything to him where they are
Yep.
today. Obviously, some
Hmm.
have fallen off, but with like the likes of Harry Kane, Son,
That was
Ericsson
the
when he was
best
there.
Spurs we've
Yeah,
seen
that
is
was
with
exactly.
Pochettino. Yeah, even better than
So
with
he
Mourinho
can
and Klopp.
develop youngsters. He can develop youngsters. And he's done that all over his career. But I don't. Chelsea's a funny club, man. Oh my
I think the
goodness,
good
they
thing
just
about
make me laugh.
I think the good thing about Chelsea is like this. It really reminds me like you remember the season when they had like the embargo, and then they had like all those kids, like the
Yeah,
year where we heard like it was like Reece James, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham. There
Lampard. I
was
think that was Lampard's first
Lampard's
year.
year. That was
Yeah,
like this reminds me like in a way of that team. Like they're very young. I feel like the expectations is like if Chelsea go and finish fourth this season, I think like yeah they spent like 1 billion over the last like 3 windows, but like it's funny, but like they spent 1 billion, and I think like if they finished fourth, I don't think like the media would be on like on their ass, you know.
yeah,
So I think like that environment where the pressure isn't like ramped up to like every game you go in you have to win. Teams are coming into Stamford Bridge, they're parking the bus. Like it's not gonna be like that, you know. So,
no,
and I think like I said, like not having Europe, having a full week between games as a young team, it makes all the difference in the world. There's not going to be crazy travel. Like they get to really have a year just like grow as a team, and I think next year is when we really start looking at them and are like, okay, like they can actually seriously challenge in like this competition, and this competition, like whichever ones those are, you know?
Yep. I remember that Lampard year where I think he brought Mason Mount into the team. Reece James was promoted.
Yep.
That year they weren't even supposed to be that good, but they finished top four.
Mm-hmm.
And then they parlayed that into getting the likes of like Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, you know?
Yep.
So they can always bring in players, but I think this year could be like I don't think the signings are over. I think they still need a keeper.
Man, you don't like
It's
Robert
still
Sanchez.
I don't. He doesn't move me. I think they need to come get Ramsdale next year. And then I think they need a replacement for Thiago Silva, but they have everything else.
They have Colwill, Badiashile, and Disasi and Fofana next year too.
Fofana's out I think he's out
Yeah,
for
which
most
is
of the
why
year.
they got
I think
Axel
torn ACL.
Disasi.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Colwill's
telling
really
you, they
nice.
move crazy. Like this, like Fofana towards ACL, the next day 50 million secured Disasi. I've never seen anything like it. I'm telling you.
And then Colwell signed a 6-year extension like the week after.
The next day, it's insane.
Yeah.
But segueing off of Chelsea,
Yeah.
the big news outside of the Prem, and I'm gonna get absolutely cooked here, is one man and one man only, and that's Kylian Mbappe, who
Yeah.
this week. Let's go day by day. So the
Okay.
whole summer we've been hearing. It came out of nowhere. I will say. I was like, Madrid had the craziest start to a window for Madrid, like in the last 6 years or 7 years.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen them start a window so like on top of the gun. They got rid of all the deadwood like fast. They got Hazard off the books. They listed all the people that they didn't want to get. They like had a plan. They were like, we're going for Havertz and Kane. And then Vinny gets the number 7, and like I'm telling you, they unload the deadwood. Vinny gets number 7. Kane is like they're gonna start going for Kane. The second that happens, Mbappe sends that letter to PSG. Then the whole summer is this mess of like I've never seen so much recycled news in my life. It's always the same like 4 things. It's always Mbappe sent a letter to PSG. PSG Fabrizio said the same thing like 60 times. PSG thinks Mbappe is leaving in 24 and they will not let him leave for free or they will sell him. So then that happens. Then this weekend they have the game. Mbappe is not playing. He still hasn't trained with the team. They draw 0-0. They get Dembele and him are sitting. And like 2 days later Mbappe's like Mbappe might extend. And I was like, there's no way. Like this doesn't align with anything that we've been hearing all summer, and he's back in training now. And the rumors are that he's gonna leave his bonus on the table, which PSG will let him go for free if he does that. Which to me makes no sense, because the whole problem with Mbappe in general was that he was gonna leave for free. So if he rescinds his bonuses, he's not going to leave for free. And people are like, oh, Mbappe is rescinding his bonuses because he doesn't want money, he wants to play. But the reality of the matter is that if he leaves for free, he's just going to get that bonus as a signing bonus from Madrid because they're not going to have to pay a transfer. So I don't know. For me, it just pisses me off because it's just the same garbage. Like, I want to see what you think like about this whole thing from more an outside perspective.
Okay. For once that letter came out, I think everybody was on the same page saying, okay, this has to be it, right? This has to be the end of this. Like, we can't go through this for another summer.
Yeah.
My initial like reaction was it was kind of confusing because like Real Madrid wasn't outright coming out saying we want him. You know, there was no bid. There was no reports from their side. They just stayed quiet, but they shut down everything. They were like, okay, Mbappe's news is bubbling right now. They just stopped. They were like in the Kane was out the window. Havertz was out the window. They just completely stopped all of that. But PSG at the same time, they were like, we need him gone because they've been spending so much money all this transfer window they got to even the books eventually.
Yep.
And then he's and then he's like completely just like shitting on them, just
Yeah.
he's
He had that huge interview in July
exactly.
where I remember, not to cut you off, but at the beginning of the
No.
summer when the news came out, I literally tweeted, I was like, Mbappe will never leave. Like, Qatar will never let him leave. There's no way. Like, this is straight fake news. I'm not falling for this BS again.
Yeah.
Then El Khalifi and Mbappe had like individual or independent interviews like the same week where
Yeah.
El Khalifi was like, this is the most, like, I think he was like, this is the most unprofessional player I've ever seen, or something like crazy. And Mbappe
Yeah.
was like, PSG is a prison, like this, blah blah blah. Like, good players come to die here. Like that. He was literally, basically, that's what he was saying. So after that happened, I was like, "There's no way this guy is staying. Like, there's like this isn't. It's impossible for him to come back and play another season with PSG."
Yeah. If you like, obviously you remember, but like the previous time when I think that was 2021 when you guys won the Champions League.
20, the year
22
he resigned on the last day.
he resigned, yeah.
Yep.
So
21
22
was the bidding at the end of the window.
okay. So
Yeah.
22 it was like PSG were so adamant. They're like, we are not losing this guy for free, no matter what. Like they were just
Yeah.
stuck to their guns, and I believed them for the most part. And then this window, they're like the opposite. They're like, we have to get rid of him.
They listed him for sale.
Yeah, they listed him for sale. They considered offers. They got offers from Saudi Arabia. I think a few other clubs like asked around.
Premier League, they said asked, yeah.
But with Mbappe, it's either PSG or Real Madrid.
Yes.
And Real Madrid weren't moving. They were just waiting on him to say, I want to go here. Madrid, and he did not say that. And then you see what they're doing. They got Dembele. They're building an actually really good team. I liked all their signings.
Window. Yeah.
They had a really good window. Dembele comes in, and then Neymar's gone. And then Mbappe is like, okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
And now he's like nothing happened, which I don't know. Like, I don't know him personally or anything like that. Just from reading all these news articles, all these rumors, all these fake stuff. The guy's character, like, he just comes off as the biggest diva I've ever seen in sports.
It is actually insane. Like, it's crazy. I will say, like, the one thing that, like, Mbappe, remember, like, all of last year, were like, right after he signed that crazy contract where they were like, he's like captain, and he has like, remember, like, the jokes where they're like, Mbappe's like the coach. Like, they were literally like, he can do whatever he wants. Like, he literally chose the sporting director. Like, he was involved in the coaching process. Like, it was like the type of stuff where it's like the player was bigger than the club almost. And
absolutely.
Like someone really put it well. Like, this is, I think, like, this is me talking more like as a fan than an analyst. But like, this is the rumors of what we heard. Obviously, this is the rumors of what Mbappe wanted, a true number 9. He said, I don't want to play number 9. He said he wants to be the face of PSG, which means get Messi and Neymar out the door. And he said, and he wants to play with some of his teammates from the French side. So look at what they did this summer. They went and got a true number 9 in Goncalo Ramos from Benfica. So now Mbappe has the left to himself. Messi and Neymar were shipped out. They got Ousmane Dembele and Lucas Hernandez, who are his friends, and they might get Kolo Muani, who's another one of his friends. Yeah. And they got another midfielder in Manuel Ugarte and Milan Skriniar. They had a very good window. I will say they had a good window. They have a proper coach. I think Enrique is a good coach. Do I think they can compete for the Champions League with that midfield? No. I still think that, I mean, when you have Mbappe, you're always in the mix. But do I really see them as, beating Bayern, beating Man City? No. To be honest, I still think that they need more. I think that league, it's very like overstated, but that league doesn't challenge them. They're never challenged in that league,
No, like their season is defined by Champions League. They have to win one, and then we can just move on, Yeah. And it has not happened. They've gotten close once, and the rest they've just been out of the round of 16 and the quarterfinals, I think, against Man United back in 2017, 2018. So the ultimate goal for Mbappe, like because we always look at like in terms of like their career trajectories with Mbappe and Haaland, right? I think we talked about this last year, too, where Haaland looks like he's making every right decision possible, and it's got him a treble. He's probably going to finish one or two in the Ballon d'Or, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's Mbappe, who's just in terms of talent, I think he's better than Haaland,
He's the
but
best player in the world.
I
As much
I
as I
I,
don't like him, he's the
I
best player
agree
in the
with
world.
you. He is. So like he's taken mishaps in his career,
Mm-hmm.
where I think he was supposed to make this move 2 years ago. He was supposed
Four
to be in Madrid.
times.
Yeah, he said
Four
no four
times.
times.
The joke is like there
Or
were people. Sorry to cut you
no,
off,
no,
but
go
the
ahead.
joke is there was people on Twitter posting jersey like swaps when the news come out, and the jersey is a 2018 jersey. Do you not see the problem in what you are doing? Like how many
Yeah,
years? 2018 when he went to PSG from Monaco, they were going to sell Bale and buy him. Like that has like been stated many times that they
yeah,
were in the mix, and Mbappe was like, no, let me wait. 2021. He announces he wants to leave. Madrid had that crazy like last day of the window where they were bidding and PSG wasn't even responding, and Mbappe was like, "I'm trapped," all this stuff,
yep,
and very public. 2023, he signs on the last day. Okay, we can put our hands up, and people were saying political pressure, the president, blah blah blah, his family were threatened. This year there are no excuses. PSG have stated publicly you're listed for sale. You literally put a letter that was supposedly written 3 weeks after you signed your extension that you want to leave,
yeah,
and PSG have stated sign an extension or leave for free. Like there is no the problem is I go on Twitter and there are people so blinded by how good Mbappe is, and Madrid fans
yeah,
included. There are some of them that think like this, where they're like, "Ah, blah blah blah. This is political pressure." There is no political pressure. Just read the news. Like
yeah,
there's no excuse, and the problem is as a fan. Like this is not me speaking as a fan. Like more than just kind of analyzing the situation. It's like how many more players is Madrid gonna let walk to other teams because of this guy? Like think about
yeah,
how many players that we as in Madrid, how many players they've let go. Haaland, if it wasn't for Mbappe, I firmly believe would be at Madrid. I think last year there was a lot of even the Premier League journalists like Ornstein, and they were saying that Haaland was favoring Madrid over Man
Madrid, yeah,
City.
in that
And then
winter, yeah,
only when they really turned and pivoted all their focus towards Mbappe, they were like, okay, like it's not happening. So he went and chose Man City. This season, Harry Kane, who literally in his press conference, they asked him, why do you want to be at Bayern? And he said, like, I saw David Beckham went to Real Madrid and I wanted to try like different leagues. Like I think that if Madrid made a push the way they were at the beginning of the window, I think that he would also be a Madrid player. And even the summer with COVID, when Madrid wasn't making signings, I think when they made zero signings, they sold like 5, 6 players, and those players were to literally build a war chest for Mbappe,
in yeah, in preparation for him, yeah,
Marcus Llorente, Ashraf Hakimi, Theo Hernandez was I think a little bit before, and other players. So the problem is that as much as I don't like this guy, and as much as I recognize he's good and he's the best player in the world in my opinion, I don't even think it's close. I think the same garbage will happen next summer. I don't think that this is going anywhere. If he doesn't come this summer, which we'll see. I mean, we'll see. If I had to, before, like, I was like, there's no way he's coming. And then I was like 80%. I think the highest I got was like 85 that he's coming
yeah,
to Madrid this summer. After the El
yeah.
Khalifi stuff, I was like, there's no way you can go back. Like, you cannot say something like that about like your club and go back and like, But right now, 10%. I'd say 10% chance he comes this summer.
I think the like Mbappe obviously I think looks the worst in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
but Real Madrid fans and then the Real Madrid board are like they're basically just letting him walk over them pretty much. Where
He's ruined their reputation. You're
absolutely
100% right.
the like he's publicly like obviously this summer they weren't as public as they were past, but
Yeah.
still like they put a halt on everything. Like everyone can see Harry Kane, I think for sure would have gone to Madrid. And that is the biggest need. Like you
They don't
guys
have
need
a
a striker.
striker.
You guys do not have a striker. And Harry Kane would have fit it like a glove. Like, you know?
such a perfect fit for what they want to do.
Exactly. And Mbappe has and Real Madrid, sorry, the board have just completely just like they've put all their eggs in one basket
Yeah,
and for the third time have just been left empty-handed. And he goes
100%.
back and I think it will continue to happen until he signs a 5-year deal. And I don't think he will
I
ever.
know he's gonna keep pulling. The thing is, Mbappe, like, we agree he's a huge diva. Like, if
Yeah.
he comes to Madrid, people haven't talked about this, but if he comes to Madrid, do you really think he's gonna be so happy to be playing back to the goal number 9? The same.
No, that's
The thing is, that's what people like. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah.
I'm like, there's no way he's going to come to Madrid, where Vinicius owns that position. You cannot move Vinicius. He is
No.
as an out and out winger. He's maybe if not number one, number two in the world. Mbappe for me is like a little different profile of winger. Vinny is more
Yeah.
like a beacher man. Maybe cut in, hit across, score. It's like he's a different style of winger. He's more pure. But you cannot tell me Mbappe is going to come and he's going to be like, oh, I'm so happy playing on in the middle. The same reason that he was upset at PSG was he had to play through the middle.
And that's why like I think the dramatics started when Vinny got the number 7 jersey because
The day after. And do you think it's a coincidence that the day Harry Kane signs for Bayern is the day he returns to training?
no, it's all he's I think very calculated, but I think at the
Hmm.
same time he's very stupid because like the positional like overlap with Real Madrid is out in the open. It's clear. Vinny is the franchise at the moment. Like you guys don't have he's a top 3 I think in my opinion. He's one of the best players in the world.
Yep.
You're not going to just be like, "Okay, Mbappe's coming. Let's move you to the complete
You
other side of
cannot
the
do
field."
it, yeah.
You can't do that. But and then as while that's happening, you can clearly see PSG just adhering to all his needs. Like they're bringing in a striker, they're bringing in his best friend, they're bringing in Dembele, they're bringing in someone he can play off of, someone that he's competed for world titles with, as a wingmate. So like he. I think he has PSG where he wants them, where they've done everything he wants them to do, while at the same time he's being non-committal, which gives him all the offers and all the options this summer, coming into this summer. And it'll be another saga again, like unless he signs a freaking 5-year deal. Like it will Chelsea needs to come in for him, Give him an 8-year deal so we can like just leave this alone for good. Because
Yeah, man,
I hate Mbappe so
I'm
much,
so
man.
sick of
Oh
this,
my
bro. The
god.
thing is, and I
Mbappe's
know next summer it's gonna be a problem too. This is not going away anytime soon. He's like, bro, every year he ruins our transfer window. It's
yeah.
so frustrating.
And I think this is the year where you guys are gonna pay because you guys obviously you guys
Yeah,
have a
I
good team, but
agree.
now there's what
There is no striker.
no striker and then injuries, so it's the depth is lacking, and Mbappe would have. I don't know how he would have fit into that team, obviously with Vinny and stuff, but he would have been forced to play striker, and he would have been unhappy.
I don't
So
even know who the plan B is now because no Kane. Kolomwani really 100 million euro striker? No.
no,
Vlahovic 70 meh.
yeah,
There's no one that really moves me in the window. Maybe a loan. Who knows? Maybe who knows? There's time left in the Madrid. Like to they move very slow. So
but like you guys did do one thing right, which is getting Jude Bellingham. What what
man,
what
if
are
they
your
got
thoughts on
Jude
him?
and fantastic man, he's a crazy player. I don't know if you caught the game on the weekend.
Yeah,
Man, he's unreal. Like lives up to all the hype. Like delivers and then some. And I really like the way we've kind of unlocked him in this like free roaming number 10, where like
yep,
he doesn't have any defensive responsibilities, but he's still like elite at that too. Like I remember there was one play where we had a counter. I should stop saying we, but Madrid had a counter. Uh, Madrid had a counter, and Vinny played a. I think he played a Rodrigo. Or I think it was Rodrigo misplaced the ball, and one of the Athletic Bilbao defenders took it away, and they went all the way down to the other end, and then a guy intercepted, like he tackled him, and I was like, "Who
Yeah.
is that?" And it was Bellingham. I was like, "That guy was just at the other end, like he was one pass away from scoring, and all the way back, like 10 seconds later, and he's winning the ball back." And the midfield for Madrid, it's a shame that they don't have like a clinical. That's why Harry Kane would have been perfect because
Yeah.
I think, now this is a crazy take maybe, but for what Madrid really need, like what they're missing, Kane really fills the gap of what they need more than
Hmm.
Mbappe. Mbappe is the better player for
I,
sure.
I agree with you. Yeah.
They need an aerial threat. They have absolutely no aerial threats in terms of like a striker who can sit and really have a threat in the box and occupy two center backs. And the
Yeah.
thing about Benzema is Benzema is a great striker, but Benzema he likes to drift more. I feel like Kane is more the type who really sits in the box and he'll really just occupy guys. And that obviously helps Vinny a lot because now you don't have three guys that are watching him, you know?
Yeah.
So in terms of just the free roaming ability to pass, I think Kane is a better playmaker than Mbappe. But Mbappe obviously gives you that fear factor. He's very so direct. He's the only player in the world where like he gets the ball and you're literally like, okay, like it doesn't matter like 5 yards, 15 yards. Like he could be halfway across the field. You're like, okay, like this is a problem. Like get it out of his feet like now.
Yeah. He's a
So
threat.
yeah,
No, I
exactly.
agree with you. Kane. Oh my goodness.
If they
This
had
team.
Kane, they would be because this midfield, this diamond that they played this weekend with Chouameni at the pivot, Camavinga and Valverde and Bellingham. Bro, it's insane. All four of them, like unlimited motor, quick on the counter. They're good at everything. They're all versatile. They're all
And then they're
great on the
so
ball
like
too.
physically so
Yes,
imposing, bro. Chumeni and Bellingham and Valverde are huge people. Like
they
they
are,
look
and they're
so big
so
in that
quick.
midfield, and they're so fast. I just I think you guys are gonna do well. I don't think you guys are
I
gonna
don't
have
think they can.
a
I don't
terrible
think they can
season, but I
win.
don't
I don't
think
think they can win the Champions League without a striker.
no. You need another 20 goal scorer. I think
Yeah,
Bellingham will score a lot, but
I think he would.
Vinny's gonna be all alone.
Vinny is not as good when you play him centrally. He's not the type of player where he can really like be physical and have his back to the goal ever. Like he's not that type.
He was non-existent in the Atletico Bilbao game. Like
He's
he
better when they bring in Joseo and you could really see him like in preseason when they would bring in
yeah,
Joseo and he would go back to just like Vinny is the most dangerous where you can get him in isolated in like events. You get him in a one-on-one, I don't care who the hell you have at right back, he's gonna probably beat him. And he's gonna beat him 9 out of 10 times too. It's not gonna be like a
absolutely. Yeah.
one-off thing. And
Yeah.
then once you get past that one guy, he's so dangerous. He always finds the pass and he's so much more direct even when he came to Madrid. He's a fantastic player, but I think they just need that striker. The problem is, I think that they let the best one go. That's realistic in this window. If Mbappe comes, striker, right winger, left winger, I don't care where he plays. I think they are the best team in the world, and they'll
I
win.
agree with you, but that's been the question for the
That is a
last
big
three
if.
years.
Yeah,
Is Mbappe
it's
coming
a
or
huge
not?
if.
So, and it's been no every summer since.
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna be us this summer, but we'll see. But
No.
let's segue off of transfers and that kind of news. I want to see because we didn't really talk about your prem stuff like in depth.
Yeah.
Who did you have winning? Is the Arsenal is really what I'm asking.
Um, no, I don't have
You
Arsenal
don't have
winning.
Arsenal, but you have them
I
second
don't.
or what?
I have him second
Okay,
again.
second.
Um,
Why?
I think Man City. I don't think Man City is better than Arsenal in any way at all. I just think
Really?
it's 3 years in a row. I just need to see them not win before I can accept it, before I can like actually predict it. I think Arsenal are, I think they're neck and neck, depending on what Man City wants to focus on. If they want to focus on the Champions League or Premier League, I think with KDB out now for several months, I think that gives
Yeah.
Arsenal a little bit room for error. The margin of error isn't so small as it was last year. Um, and then the same for City as well. Obviously they have Holland, who I don't know. He's Holland. He scored freaking 55 goals last year. There's no answer for him. But I think Arsenal, in terms of like what they brought in this summer, with Havertz, Declan Rice. They've Urin Timber, he's injured now, but what he
Yeah, that's
brought
a
to the
big
table,
loss.
yeah. I think they retooled well enough to compete for the title, and I think they will. I just need to see City lose. I will not go against Pep until he goes down or leaves the league. He's he's made the Premier League into nothing.
I
So
know, I know. I
it's
had
sad.
I was really close to picking Arsenal to win it. Like
Yeah.
last season, I didn't even think about. I was like, there's no way any team but City will win it. This year, I was like, there's a chance. Like they got better at every single level. Their lineup on the weekend, I looked at it like I had to look at it like 5 times. I was like, who the hell and where are they? Like who is playing
Exact.
where? I
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
confused. It was very
Urin
like
Timber was playing left back. Partey was playing right back. It was, you know, it was just all over the place. But that's how deep they are. Like
they
games
are
like
very
that,
deep.
you can like
Experiment a
like
little bit.
yeah, experiment like that. And then you lose Urin Timber, which is very unfortunate. But they have Tomiyasu who came in and did the job. They have
Yep.
Ben White
They
who
have
can do
depth.
it. You know,
Yeah. And
so
they still are big reliance on William Saliba, who I mean we'll see. Last season I think they really caught a lot of teams by surprise. Now,
yeah,
you know, like Mourinho said it once, like the toughest place is when the expectations are high and you have to perform to those expectations. You know, that's the
yeah,
toughest thing. I think last season, if Arsenal finished 20 points off the league and got third and were comfortable top four, I think people would have been happy with that season. But
absolutely.
they challenged for the league, and that caught a lot of people by surprise. It didn't like sometimes I would think in February I'd be like, wow, like Arsenal's top of the Prem, like this is crazy. But
Yeah.
this year there's a lot of people who are picking them to win, so the expectations are they're gonna go into every game and probably be favorites. There'll maybe be 2 games all year where they won't be like huge, like they won't be favorites, and that'll probably be City. So
Yeah,
mm,
I agree with you. I think last year was like, the coming out party, and now they've arrived. They're here.
yeah,
They have a squad deep enough to be competing for Champions League,
hmm
FA Cup, whatever, every title possible is up for grabs for them. I don't think they're going to go trophy list. I think they'll win something. I think the Premier League with Pep, with Holland, I think Holland breaking his own record is more likely than Arsenal winning the league. So it's just hard to see. I can't envision it, and I don't want to let my mind go there at all. So
that'd be
I'm
crazy,
I'm
man.
just
But
I'm just gonna we're a young team, we're growing. So
you think they can challenge seriously in Europe, or they're also a year away in that too?
no, I think they'll be fine in Europe.
Really?
Yeah,
How far are we saying?
I have
Like
I have no doubts. I think
like
I
what
think
round
in
would it
ter-
take for them to lose, and then you'd be like, you could put your hands up, be like, like that. I'm fine. Like that's good for this year.
I think the quarterfinals or semifinals, I think
Okay.
they can make it there.
Yeah.
And that's a nice like announcement, like you're
Yeah.
here.
The year back in the
Um,
Champions League. Yeah.
in terms of team wise and like rosters, I think Arsenal has a top 5 team in the world. Um, and why not? If Champions League, it's always if Arsenal are very unlucky, but like if shit goes the right way, you're in the final or you're playing against Italian teams and Portuguese teams in the quarters and the round of 16, and then you look up and you're in the semifinals. But for the most part, I'm not worried about them in Europe. I think they'll be fine. I think the last 2 seasons missing out on the league, and then the year before that missing out on top four, especially with a young team. I think they're built for it. I don't think it's going to be a matter of like pressure or anything like that. I think they have the team. I think they'll be fine as long as they
Yeah.
don't run into Man City. That's it. Man City is the only team I fear in the world. I Bring me Madrid to the Emirates.
Oh, please do not give me
I'm
Madrid
giving you
this year.
six.
Wait for a year. I need a striker, and then we can go to the Emirates.
I'm telling you, as an Arsenal fan, I think we're like very, very like content with where we are. We're not
Yeah.
like we're not worried about anybody. It's just how we'll see how things roll out. A lot of stuff are out of our hands. So what can you
Yeah,
do?
that's true. I think I mean, for Arsenal, I think the big problem is again the goals. Like they need. I don't trust any of their strikers to give me 25 goals. If they had one striker who was proven, who could give you 20, 25 goals, even in like in the league, maybe 20 goals, I
Yeah.
think I think I think I would have chosen them. But the problem is just the goals. Where do they come from? You know? Can you
I
rely
think
on
I
Saka to get you 20 goals in the league?
see. I
I don't
Saka
think
did.
so.
I think he got what 16 and
14,
11,
15.
15 and
Yeah,
10.
something like that.
And
Martinelli
Martinelli
had
had
like around
15
the
and
same.
5.
Yeah.
Um, I like this approach though, where like there's only one Holland in the world, you know. Um,
Yeah.
where I think if Jesus comes back, I think he should be back within a few weeks.
Yep.
And he had I think 11 goals and like 6 assists, something like that, and he missed half the year pretty much. Where it's like more of a like a team effort, you know, everybody pitches in their goals, which is like I think the Man City model before Holland came in and said I'm
Yeah, that's
responsible for
true.
40 goals.
That's true.
So I think in the Prem, Saka and Martinelli didn't have really any other opportunities to score anywhere else because they were only playing in the Premier League, and we got out of Europe early enough to where they didn't make any appearances, or they made a
Yeah.
few appearances.
Yeah.
Um, I think they'll hit their target numbers. I think Saka will hit 20 goals easily. I think
20 in
Martinelli
the
will
league
get
or 20 in all comps.
20, 20 all, 20 all.
Oh,
Because
20.
I think
Okay.
he'll be playing every Champions League
60
game, just
games
like,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get his 20 goals. Martinelli will get his 20 goals. It's just the rest have to. I think Odegaard had 15 last year as well, all in the league. So like, I think they've shown that they can produce in a limited amount of games. If you can call 38 games limited, but like there'll be another 10, 15 games added to their workload this year with
Yeah.
and depending on how far they get in the FA Cup and all the other stuff. I think they'll be shooting 60 games. I think 20 goals is I'm not worried about goals.
Yeah.
I think they'll
I
be
think
fine. It's just health.
it's like
Health
a
and depth.
basketball
That's it.
concept. Like it's mostly a basketball concept. Like we see it in soccer sometimes where like uh there's just some games everyone's playing poor. You just need one guy to be like, like get out of the way. This is like my game. Like I need to take over this game and like literally win it by myself. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
we saw that a lot with like Cristiano, for example. Like there would be games where Madrid would be so sluggish, and Cristiano would just be like, I don't care about like who, like I don't care about anything. Like I'm gonna get
Yeah.
my goals and we're gonna win this game. Like I'm gonna make sure we win this game. Like the way maybe like Mbappe was in the World Cup final, where he was like, even though they didn't win, but it was like he was like, we're not gonna go down without a fight. Like no matter what happens, like I have my punch back. So who is that for
No,
Arsenal? Like who steps up is the big question for me.
I th- I think when called upon, I think they've answered the call every time.
Yeah,
At least the young players. But those players are so few. There's only one
yeah,
Cristiano
they're
and
very
one
hard to
Mbappe and
find. Yeah, one
Holland. I don't think
Holland.
he's that kind of player, but he does just produce enough to convince everyone he is.
Yeah,
Um, I think we have enough. It's just injuries, man. Just like
yeah,
Man City right now, without KDB, how good will they be? How good is Holland without him? So we'll see. We'll see. It's
yeah.
it's a long year. It's what from the first week is already what 5, 6 ACL injuries happening.
I know. So many
It's
games.
everywhere. It's so many games these
Time is
athletes are
crazy.
fighting. Man City
Yeah,
played today, and they play
yeah. And they play in
Saturday or
3 days
Sunday.
against Newcastle. Yeah,
Exactly. So it's tough. It's tough.
yeah. Well, we'll kind of touch upon City just for a little bit before we'll
Yeah.
get into some other leagues. City today, Super Cup win on penalties. The Shield, the Community Shield, they lost on penalties to Arsenal. The Burnley game, they looked fantastic.
Yeah.
The big question for me with City, which I talked about last week, was are they going to be sluggish? Just because, you know, kind of that psychological concept when you work so hard for something and you get it, your motivation's
Yeah.
kind of gone. And, it was like 7 years of Pep every year, Champions League, like win or fail. Like this is the failure. It doesn't matter if we win the league. Kind of like the way PSG are. Now they finally did it, and not only did they do it, they won the treble. This year, are we gonna see some complacency, or do you think Pep just doesn't let that happen?
I think Pep is a sick man, So I think him motivating. He has a lot of ways he can just experiment with
He
his
will clear
squad.
the squad if he
He
has to. By
yeah
the way,
he will. I remember last year, Diaz wasn't even playing in the first like 3 months of the year. Like he has enough world class players, really good players, enough where you bench Grealish for 2 months. Yeah, I think he can get away with if Grealish is not competing or not tracking back, not being the left back he is, um, then that's a problem. Like you got to take care of that. But he's had what's his name in the doghouse for a year now.
Joao Cancelo
Foden, of
and Foden
Cancelo
too.
as well,
Well,
and
there's the
Foden.
many players exactly.
Exactly. So you see all those things that he always figures it out. The issue though is they what did they won the Champions League in early June. It's not even end of August yet, and they're already playing. They've played. They did a tour in Japan. They played today. They played Saturday. They played last Sunday. So in terms, I think it's just injuries. I think that's the only thing like that it scares me of all these teams. It's just the fact that they will not have the bodies to. But City, and their defense is really good. So
Yeah, their
and
defense is
Holland will score.
insane.
So
Yeah, he will. He
Holland will
scored
score.
on.
They will get clean sheets and Holland will score. So
Yep.
everything
They're
else
so
can
deep
be
at every position
yeah.
too. So
But I do you think they'll be complacent?
I think there'll be periods where they like slack. I just think I
Yeah.
think you're gonna see it more in Europe than the league.
Yeah, I think if they do come down a notch, I think it'll be in Europe
I
because
think in Europe they're just gonna there's gonna be games this season like we didn't see it last season where you're like this is not City.
yeah.
I think even today I was like this isn't really the City I know. Like they got
No, they
pushed
have
around a
spells
little
where
bit.
they just look terrible.
Yeah,
But like Sevilla you can get away with like but in the Prem like if Chelsea comes to town, like I don't think you can. Obviously, they own Chelsea, but like Arsenal and stuff like that. But in Europe, they always win the league, so they always have an easy group. They don't see anybody until the quarterfinals, so
yeah,
that's where I think they might be able. Someone will sneak up on them.
yeah,
And
100%.
last year they what Real Madrid was like the big test I think in the first leg, and then
They
RB
slapped them
Leipzig
in the second leg,
in the
man.
second.
And
They
it was
somebody was telling me they didn't lose one home game in the elimination rounds.
and I don't
So
think they lost the game in the whole competition,
exactly. So
which is the one of the
I don't think
first
that's
times that's
easy
happened.
to follow up with. I think that's
I know
hard to
it's
do
not. They
again.
said the bar is sky high, and we'll see what they end up doing this year.
No, Pep. Yeah,
Pep is a
they're an
crazy guy.
unbelievable team.
You said it best.
No, he's a madman. I hope Arteta has some of that in him because
Yeah,
it's dark,
it's
man.
very unique to him. But we'll segue off of the Prem. We'll
Yeah,
talk. We talked a little bit about Madrid. Bellingham. We talked about his performance and how fantastic he was, and
yeah,
we'll really see. But the interesting thing in La Liga this weekend was Barca. So
yeah.
Barca played. Sadly, I wasted 2 hours of my life watching one of the worst games I think I've ever watched. Like there was
Yeah.
four red cards or three. 90 plus 18 was I think at the end of 90 minutes.
Yeah,
Craziest added time. There was like a VAR check that ended up not getting called. It was just a
yeah,
slot fest. And Getafe's lineup was so like anti-football. I couldn't believe what I was seeing like pre-game. They had six center backs like in their lineup. Like they had a five-man block and then they had a center back Jenny sitting in front of the five. I only looked
yeah,
at the lineup. I was like, and then they had another three midfielders. I was like, what is this? So I was like, okay, like let me tune in and watch this game. It was so bad. The football, it was just a slugfest. Like that's the best way to say it. And Xavi had some quotes after the game that really I wanted to talk about. So he said that Javier Tebas, who is the president of La Liga, is an absolute embarrassment. That's a quote. And he
yeah,
said, I understand why people don't watch our football, like in terms of La Liga.
yeah.
What do you think about what Xavi said? what do you think
I
about Xavi as a coach? How about like both
I
of
think
those?
he needs to look in the mirror because he contributes to that too. You know,
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
his team does not play good football. They try, but they don't.
They parked the bus in preseason,
They
by the way.
exactly, and Xavi, at least for like the last what a year and a half, has proven to be a talker. He will say whatever he needs to
Man.
say in the in before the game, after the game, whatever.
Mhm.
But you are Barcelona, you know, like La Liga. People come to see La Liga through your eyes, you know,
Yeah.
and you're not you're not playing good football. I don't care if another team comes in with six defenders and you're not, you still got to perform, you know. They played what 110 minutes and it was 0-0. Like obviously Rafinha got a red card.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was worthy of a red card, but still,
Yeah.
um, I don't like. Obviously, I think Barca will win the league. That's my prediction. But when they do it, they're not doing it by tiki taka. They're not doing it dismantling
It's a lot
teams.
of get. They're
It's a
playing for
lot of 1-0,
results. Hmm.
2-1. You know, so he needs to look in the mirror because when I watch La Liga, I'm watching Real Madrid and Barca, right?
Yeah, those are the
And he does
teams.
not play good football. Like, why is he calling out the president? You're in charge. Like, you have been given funds that this club does not have for the last 2 years.
To build a
But
team. Yeah.
to build a team and the best he could, like the I think De Jong was playing center back at one point for like a long period of time after the halftime. So it's I don't enjoy watching Xavi
No,
and his
I.
team.
He makes
Obviously,
some of the craziest
they have great talents,
excuses.
but huh?
They do. He makes some of the craziest excuses. I remember like once he was like the grass is too long. And I looked at the account on Twitter. I had to click it to see if it was one of those like troll accounts. And
Yeah,
it was like the actual account. I was like, there is
yeah,
no way he said this. Like, yes, Xavi makes a lot of excuses. I will say he's justified. There's one thing that he's justified in, and that's the
yeah.
problem with La Liga and the president, who's literally running the league into the ground. La Liga, the only league in the top five that doesn't have goal line technology still. Crazy.
Yeah.
In 2023, it's no goal line technology in Spanish football. And the salary cap and the restrictions with finances, where La Liga has only spent 335 million 335 million as a league this summer, and like half of that is Madrid.
Yeah.
So
I
he's
remember
lit.
I remember who was that team? There was a team that was promoted last year in La
Almeria.
Liga,
Yeah,
and they
Almeria.
spent like 20 million, I think, on a player or something like that. And it was like everybody was like, "Oh my god, somebody they're
Almeria. It was
spending money.
Almeria.
They're spending money." But there's no
Because they're
money
independently
in
owned. That's the thing. And the thing about the Prem
that's
is all these are
yeah,
billionaires and the socios, and
yeah,
the revenue split is so poor in La Liga, and it's a huge problem. There's a huge drop off. The sad thing is that these teams they produce crazy talent. Like Sevilla are spending 10 million a window, and they're competing with like they just won the Europa League.
yeah,
They
yeah,
spend frugal, but they spend well. And the problem is you have these lower league, like these lower team sides who come up, and like it's not like the Prem where like who came up this year? Burnley come up and spend 100 million. Like that just doesn't exist like in any league but
yep,
the Prem. So they have to play this like slow, disgusting, like frankly disgusting football. Like they have to play six at the back, five with a double pivot right in front of the five. So
hmm
it's just something that you have to deal with. That's football. Like results are results. You cannot sit there and complain about the other team playing like defensive tactics. Like you are Barcelona. I agree with you there. Like you are Barcelona. That is your job.
yeah,
Is to play teams who are gonna play you like that. Like
and to sell La Liga, you know, so you
even
can't come out
in
and go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I said like you can't come out and call. Obviously the president has made a lot of terrible decisions regarding La Liga, but like in terms of football, you can accuse him of anything else outside of that. But what is on the pitch, Xavi, you have a lot more control than he does, you
Then
know.
he does. That's
So
true. And I
what's
mean,
what how is the revenue split up in La Liga? What is
it's
it like?
very like it's the top two take like the top. It's not evenly distributed like the Prem. The problem is like
Mm,
there's like this suction of money where like La Liga for like 6, 7 years had the best three teams in the world, arguably. They had Real, Barcelona, and Atletico, who were
Atletico
like
Madrid.
dominating in Europe. And they had
Yeah.
like even their 4 through 8s. I remember Bilbao went and smacked like Man United at Old Trafford. Sevilla were like winning it, winning.
They won
going deep.
three in a row, right? 3 Europa Leagues
So
in a
Sevilla
row.
won 3 Europa Leagues in a row.
Yeah.
And where has that gone? Like the problem is they have run the league into the ground where now like we cannot like the Spanish league cannot even compete with the French league in terms of spending, which is crazy to me. Like that's crazy to think. So like
I saw
who
that.
watches the French league?
Um, no one.
No one watches that league.
Did you? There was a graph where they showed like how much the leagues were spending.
Yeah.
Obviously Premier League was number one. I think Bundesliga was number two, and then
Serie A
League
was
One was number
three,
three. Yeah.
4, and then Saudi league. And then
Saudi
La
was
Liga.
number 5. Obviously, they're not like counting freaking wages and stuff like
bro.
that. But like I think La Liga was below that. So
Yeah, they are.
it's
Man,
it's
when
sad to
if
see.
Saudi League gets a Champions League spot like we saw today, like this is a whole like tangent. But if they get a Champions League spot, man, I have no idea what's gonna happen to football and like how teams are gonna start spending because that is the only appeal with Saudi. Like the Saudi problem is that there's no European football. If they get to get to Champions League, it's cooked. And then now you have this huge like the one thing that Chelsea is doing that like it's within the rules, but like it's really shady is now you have these teams who literally they will buy affiliate clubs. Like look at the way they're using Strasbourg for Chelsea.
They own affiliate clubs.
They own the club, and so they will just buy a player and ship him there immediately.
And and they've done that several times.
They will buy. The thing is, I know these like the French clubs are mad because like they bought like 2 talents from France, and then they were like, okay, good, like we're getting them out of like our country, and they ship them right back to their rival. What the hell is this? Yeah, literally, it's crazy, man.
No. I think La Liga at one point they had everyone knows this, but Messi and Ronaldo, right? Yeah. And I don't think they did the best to take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, man. That's like they never really paying, promoted the league outside of the country.
Yeah, and now you see like it's so hard to find La Liga games. Obviously now I think you can watch them with ESPN Plus.
Good. But before ESPN, it was with Bean, and it was a nightmare. That was in prime La Liga, by the way. Like the best teams in the world were all in that league.
And you couldn't even find a link on Reddit or anything.
You cannot find it anywhere. It was prime Cristiano, prime Messi, the best 2 teams in the world, Simeone, and so many good teams, and they've just let it kind of run to the ground. It's really sad to see. Spanish football is, when it's at its best, is some of the best football in the world. Maybe I think it's the best to watch when it's like really at the top. Like they a lot of the teams play really, really like great football. Like, a lot of the good managers in the Prem, like look at Arteta and Guardiola, they are Spanish. Like that is the grassroots of that country are fast, like progressive, direct passing football. So
no, they like Spain has influenced a lot of football in general. Like that can't be taken away. But as a business, as a league, I think they're falling behind.
Yeah, 100%.
Rapidly. The bleeding is not stopping. Barca is just an embarrassment publicly because they can't get their shit together.
Changing.
I don't think so either. Obviously, now in terms of like quality, I think they're number 2. But how far does quality get you when every club is spending 500 million every transfer window or every league? That you can only rely on that for so long. Yeah,
100%. I agree. But let's get into what we like to call 3-5-2. 5 minutes on the clock. I'd like to end our podcast with this: 3 takes each, and 2 people. So I will set the timer now and go for it. First one. What's your first one?
I think my first prediction is I think Man United are in for a long weekend. Tottenham. I
agree. That's my first one. Wait, I'm not kidding. That's my first one too. So you have them losing or what?
I have them losing by like minimum 3 goals.
I think they lose and they don't score.
And they don't score. I think they're in for a rude awakening because obviously the media coverage of Mason Greenwood, all that stuff, like leading up to this,
Man,
because
crazy.
they just said he's coming back today.
It's disgusting.
Um, but like Anthony, Sancho, like they're not good players. Casemiro did not look good.
That midfield is not balanced at all.
Is not balanced at all. So I think Tottenham, now that like they can just rally around the fact that they only are themselves. You know, you have something.
No more
Harry
Harry
Kane left
Kane.
us. You
Find
know,
a new
yeah,
identity. Yeah.
new coach. I think first home game of the season. Ten Hag is in for
I
one of
think
those
I
4
say.
nils.
Oh wow! I
No,
didn't
no,
even.
no. I'm telling you,
I
I
had
don't think
three.
they're prepared. They're not
Okay,
prepared.
that's the game to watch this weekend for me. Uh,
Yeah.
so my second, because you kind of stole my first. I agree that they will lose and
Okay.
they won't score. Is I think
Yeah.
Jude scores again. I think we get another weekend with another goal at Almeria, which is a tough place to play. 2 games in the league, 2 goals for Jude.
I think he could have scored so many more if he got those cutbacks.
Yeah,
Like if they were oh
he's a crazy
I was
player.
talking to like one of our like mutual friends, and like he's like that. I because he his name, well, obviously it's Muhammad, but he said, you
With the
know, you
agenda.
guys, yeah, you guys all like, you know, he said he misprofiled Jude. Like I didn't think he had this like offensive capabilities and stuff like that. But he's such a like a physical specimen. He's
He's
huge.
crazy, bro.
I remember he was celebrating and he did this, and everybody was like, here, you know?
Yeah, he's like
Um
6'3", bro.
exactly. So and he had so many if Rodrigo just cuts the ball back, that's another. I think he'll score so many goals for you guys this year.
Yeah.
Um yeah, my second is I think Newcastle get a point or three against Man City. I think
Oh man, bro, we have very similar ones.
I, Isak is special, bro. Isak is special. He's incredible. Obviously Tonali's off to a really good start. He scored the first game. They dismantled
Aston Villa, who I had
Aston Villa,
since, bro.
who are supposed to be really good.
Dark
Um,
horses.
yep, and I think they get something out of it.
That's like my third is that one of Arsenal or City will drop points. I think
Okay.
Arsenal are away to West Ham this weekend. I believe so.
I know Crystal Palace. Crystal
Crystal
Palace.
Palace, thank you.
Yeah, and that's a tough away
That is a
ground.
tough away game, and I think Newcastle are away at the Etihad versus City.
Yep.
So I think one
Yeah.
of those teams will drop points. If I had to guess which one, I think City have a higher chance of dropping points. I really like what Newcastle did, and man, that's another game I'm gonna really watch. I want to see how they do. in
Newcastle
Crystal
is like we're watching like something special being like built
Palace. I
up
love
from the
their
ground
recruitment.
up.
I
It's
love their
so
recruitment, and I
it's
had them
and
7th, and I feel ashamed. I don't want to overreact after 1 week, but
yeah,
I doubted the second season with like the European. We'll see. Obviously, I want to see when the fixtures start getting congested, like what they can
yeah.
do. But we'll see. Like their recruitment has been fantastic. I thought they were gonna be buying like old, like washed players with just like high names, but they
Mhm.
have not been doing that at all. But what's your last one?
My last one is as much I don't people can listen in as much. How many times did we slander Kai Havertz last year?
A lot. Please don't
But
tell
I've
me you
seen
said
I
like a
have
hat trick or something crazy.
no. I've seen the light. I said he had a pretty good game in the first game. But I think he scores his first Arsenal goal this weekend.
I like that one. I
Yeah.
can see it too.
I'm very like I don't like to put things out there, about my team. I hold back a lot,
Yeah.
but I have to root for
Usually out of
Kai
fear.
Havertz publicly. Yeah. I'm very fearful of what I say
Anyways, but yeah, that's good.
about my team. But I think Kai Havertz scores.
I like that. And I
Inshallah.
can see it too. He was close a couple times, but we'll see how
Oh
out
my
of those
goodness.
6, how many happen. Those 2 games, man. United Spurs, Newcastle
Oh,
City. I cannot wait for both. Like both of them, I will be
beautiful
watching.
weekend.
Oh, I cannot wait. I literally cannot wait. But it's good to be back, bro. It's very very good to be
Yeah,
back.
bro. Inshallah.
Picked up where we left
We
off.
have to stay consistent.
Yes, I want to
We
see.
get busy, but Inshallah.
Yeah. But we'll be back next week. We're gonna see what happens, and that'll be episode number 10.
Inshallah.
Should be exciting, and it's good to be back, bro. And hopefully a good season for both of our teams and for
Yes,
football.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right, guys, take care of yourselves. All right,
Inshallah.
peace.
Take care.